Good afternoon and welcome back to Gulfstream Park. Welcome back to Gulfstream today. I'm Gabby Gaudette, joined by Ron Nicoletti, and it's a wonderful afternoon. We've got some really nice stakes action and graded stakes action on the card with the Mr. Prospector Stakes.
And it's starting to look a little like Christmas here. We actually have a drop in the temperature, about 70s, in the low 70s today. A beautiful day in South Florida.
It is. Yesterday was a little hot and muggy, but today you couldn't ask for better weather here so far, and an excellent card on tap today. Unfortunately, yesterday the pick six was hit going into the final leg. We did have a couple of live singles. You know, looking at the sequence too, if Dustin, the Todd Pletcher 2-year-old, did win, which he ultimately was second, I definitely thought we would have had a carryover today, but unfortunately that horse did lose and they took down the pick six.
Yeah, fortunate for someone else who went a little deep in that race and didn't single there and paid, like I mentioned, paid over $129,000, and the beauty of it, only a 20-cent wager. So we'll start anew today, and at Gulfstream Park, that's never a problem. They love to bet that bet.
And they have whoever hit that bet did get some really nice Christmas cash there to spread out for the holidays.
Without a doubt.
I'd like to be in their family. We'll take a look at some of the carryovers this afternoon and our wagers. Race 1 does start off the rolling super high five, and we do have a carryover just over $6,000 there. That was another interesting wager that was hit on yesterday's program, so just keep an eye on that. With some of the carryovers, it does get to be a pretty decent amount. We also do start the early 50-cent pick 5 in today's first race as well. As we get later on today's card, race 6 starts the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6, and race 7 starts the late pick 5 as well. I know you have a ticket for both the early and late pick 5. I've got a ticket for the Rainbow Pick 6, so let's get straight to it. Race 1 does kick us off here. Ron, talk us through your ticket.
Oh, let's see. I'll show you my ticket here. And the horse that's currently very early in the wagering on the outside is the number 8 Foxy Gator. And I went too deep in here because I want to go a little deeper. It's a $54 ticket. I used the 1 Spitfire Wind and the number 8 Foxy Gator, who we'll talk about in just a couple of moments, then 3 deep. And you see the progression as it goes down. A $54 ticket to start the day with my early pick 5. Going to need Foxy Gator. I think this is the logical horse in here.
Getting early money right now at 7-5, and we'll take a look at Foxy Gator's most recent replay. This 2-year-old filly by First Dude, and when she did debut is against the maiden $12,500 level. But as we can see here, she kind of got off to a slower start here, and she's the number 2 in here. She's way far back off the pace, and going into the stretch again, she was got in a little bit of trouble, and then finally it looks like she's not going to even hit the board here. She's so far off the pace, even mid-stretch. She starts weaving in and out of horses. She finally finds a path kind of inside, and she comes with a late closing run to just be beaten by a length. And watch this, she even steadies a little bit late there as well. So again, she was beaten a length. I thought she could have even been beaten a neck. And today, I think with a better trip, she's going to be the worst.
Yeah, I mean, she had early trouble, she had mid-race trouble, and she had a little bit of trouble at the end, so a logical choice in there. But coming from way off the pace, I think she'll be closer up after that early trouble that made her come running late. The other horse I used, Gabby, was the 1 Spitfire Wind, moved to the Barry Croft Bond V. The claim turns back to 7/8 of a mile today after stalking tepid early fractions last time out, finishing second against bottom 11 maidens, going a 2-turn mile across town. The barn, 1 for 5, very limited sampling with new claims. They don't claim many horses, so I just thought maybe this was a logical horse, but I'm really counting on number 8 Foxy Gator to win it.
And this horse, Spitfire Wind, I use as well. I think she's got the fitness advantage because they did sprint her at 6 furlongs, then stretched her out to the mile. Now they're cutting her back here to the 7 furlongs, so she should be sitting on go. Not to mention, she was bet down to the favorite last time out, but she faced a horse, Holiday Gift, who was actually dropping from the maiden $20,000 level, so she was ultimately the winner. She makes a lot of sense in the 7, Capriasca here, first starter. You look at the connections, past 5 years with first-time starters on the dirt. Once again, as you said, 1 for 4. So I think it's one to use, but you probably have the right to in the first leg of the pick 5.
Yeah, and I really think Foxy Gator is the one to beat in that opening event. But, always if you can go a little deeper and you want a bigger ticket, that's the way to do it in there. So we'll see how that plays out.
We'll go to race 2, a $16,000 conditional claimer, 5 furlongs onto the turf course here. And I thought this was an interesting race, had a little bit of trouble with it. it. There are several horses that I could have used in here. The 4 Shining America is a horse that I actually wind up landing on. I can see kind of we're all over the map, and that's what you exactly get with some of these trickier races because they're coming out of $8,000 races, $16,000 races. They won, they were beaten, and now they're all facing each other once again.
Yeah, and it's hard to see, and that's the beauty of Gulfstream Park early on in the championship meeting. Horses coming from all over different levels, and until $8,000 across town at Gulfstream Park West might be equal to a $16,000 a year at this time of the year, especially going 5 furlongs on the grass. That makes it even harder. So I did not use the 4, but I could understand you using that number 4.
I like the 12, Miss Deja Vu, a lot in here, but that outside post position at 5 furlongs, and she's got speed. Is she fast enough to clear early? If she is, I think she's going to be the filly to beat, but that's why I'm going to try to beat her. The 4 Shining America, she's been at Gulfstream Park West, Suffolk, the Meadowlands there in the past 3 starts, but if you go back to her lone turf sprint here at Gulfstream, she was victorious there, just winning, beating the rest of the field there by 3/4 of a length with Tyler Gaffleone in the saddle. Now again, she did that off of a 2-month layoff. Today at least she has a little bit of platform in her, and she is coming back to a sprint distance at 5 furlongs.
Another horse I threw in was the 5 Lakeview Lady. Is hoping to find just a little more for that stretch run this time out after angling out in the late stages to run finishing 3rd behind Miss Deja Vu, their recent clash at this level and distance. I figure if I like the 12, I'm going to have the 5 somewhere on the ticket.
The 11 in here, I really didn't know what to do with. She's been extremely consistent for kind of running into the exacta, trifecta, superfecta purposes, but the 2 for 24 there, Lifetime, was kind of worried me, but if you can get a decent price on her, maybe use her on underneath some tickets. We'll move on to the 3rd race, a maiden $35,000 event. We have a lot of 2-year-old maiden races here this afternoon, makes it all the more tricky. We're going out to the turf course at a mile and a 16th. And again, this is another interesting race. I believe you like one particular horse, the number 7 Owsby.
Yeah, Owsby is dropping to this $35,000 level, stretching out today to a mile and a 16th after rallying to finish 4th, beaten only 1 3/4 lengths. That was against $75,000 maidens going a mile. It was on the Aqueduct turf course. Billy Mon is the trainer. Jose Lescano handling the stretch out in distance. And I just thought that was a pretty nice performance. Actually, want to go, and we're going to show you that performance last time out.
Yeah, let's take a look at that race on the 9th of November. That was at Aqueduct, and that was the first time that this horse was stretching out in distance. Did debut at 6 furlongs on the turf, and we can see him just kind of rating in between horses, which is always good in terms of schooling there, especially stretching out to 2 turns for the first time. And then he kind of comes with a late closing run. Again, this is a type of horse who did get blinkers on. He shuffles back a little bit there. It almost looked like he was trying to make a run in between horses and then just kind of shied away. They had to take him back and then come with another closing run. And sometimes it's hard to do 2 runs in one stretch run, especially going against a maiden $75,000 company in Aqueduct. So I think this horse makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think he figures as the one to beat in there. But you did go with the number 5, Fu Manchu, on top of your ticket.
I did. Going back to the turf last time out, it looked like he really improved there. That was on the main track at Churchill, but the blinkers do go on for the first time today. And we see this horse who did debut at Ellis Park and then obviously going on to face same competition in the next start on the 22nd of August. But I like the fact that he actually held form transitioning to the Kentucky Downs surface. He was 8-1 in that event, and now coming back, dropping to the maiden 35,000 level. I could see him showing up.
Well, let's show you a stat for trainer Mike Maker this year with horses doing what this horse is going to do today. He's 8 for 64. That is 13% with horses going from the dirt to the turf. So a good sampling there, and I think this horse can run exceptionally well in there. I think the 7 is the one to beat, but I had to have the 5, Fu Manchu, also on my ticket.
The 6 English Maheaver is one I'll use for Jessica Campitelli, and this horse put in a really, really good race, his 2nd career start, going the mile and a 16th. It was so good that I thought, okay, this horse will be pretty decent in his next start, and that wasn't the case. It was over a good ground. He showed speed and faltered late, and that just, it makes sense why they're probably giving this horse Lasix for the first time, because he showed speed and then stopped really badly last time out. So it does make sense, but he was beaten by Bay Bridge, Tacit, Tasset was a Michael Matz horse by Tappet, who seems to have a lot of talent too. And obviously this horse is dropping from Maiden Special Weight Company to the Maiden Claimer, which is always a good angle.
Well, I got a 15-1 shot that I want to mention in here just real quickly, and that's the 4 Magic Mangus, who's wheeling back at the same level in distance. You go back and look at this horse's last race. He cut the corner, he angled out, he finished a respectable fifth. It was his first ever turf race at this distance, and I expect improvement today from the Larry Bates and the Luca Panici. That's the team, trainer, and jockey, and I think this horse, if not could win, it could certainly be on your Super High 5 ticket.
Okay, I love your long shots. They always show up. Race 4, we kick off the graded stakes action there, the Mr. Prospector Stakes at 6 furlongs on the main track. And we have defending champion, the 6 Beachify, coming in off of a bit of a freshening there since late November. I have to respect this horse, but you also have to respect the 3 stall walking dude in the performance that he gave last time out in the Rapid Transit. We'll actually take a look at that performance, the stretch run, because he was going against Trouble Kid in that event. And again, this is a horse who perhaps he obviously loves an off track. So going into this race, you knew that he was going to thrive. He's 5 for 7 on an off track. But the fact that he's just so gritty as well, he's kind of on the wrong lead and then he switches. And Trouble Kid is just pressuring him each and every way to his outside. I thought Trouble Kid had every opportunity to go past him, but Stall Walking Dude just fights back gamely on the inside. Now, I pose the question, though, how much did that take out of him? And he's coming back in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, and that's always a concern, but he's turning back to a distance, which I think will help, alleviate some of that. Mm-hmm. He's grade 1 stakes place at 6 furlongs, so I think he's the one to beat in there. A horse that you didn't use that I happened to watch run across town at Gulfstream Park West was XY Jet, and this one couldn't have been more impressive when he returned from a 7-week freshening, as I mentioned, at Gulfstream Park West, and proceeded to lead every step of the way en route to that 4.5-length victory. He's the speed of the speed in here on a track that has favored this type of runner over the last couple of days. Is he going to take something out of Stall Walking Dude?
That's interesting enough. Yes, he should be very forwardly placed. The good thing about Stall Walking Dude is he doesn't necessarily need the lead. He's a solid horse, especially on the cut back to 6 furlongs. When they stretch out to 7, I think that's why he showed speed. Also, he might get a little bit faster on an off track because it's sealed, obviously, but now on the cut back to 6 furlongs, I could see him maybe just stalking. The 1 CZ is interesting in here. He's 7 for 8 in the money here at Gulfstream. He loves this track. He's been running at Gulfstream Park West. They tried the turf with him, but it just almost looks like he's a better one-run sprinter on the main track, and he's capable of very, very solid races. Obviously, he's a grade 3 winner here at Gulfstream, so I'm going to use him underneath.
And you mentioned Speechify. What a great story, the defending champion here. He had a trouble trip last time in the mud at Keeneland at their grade 3 Woodford. Fell over a horse. They thought he was going to be really hurt. He came back, and then he fades to finish 5th in the slop, going 5 furlong allowance at Gulfstream Park West. What a great story. This horse is the defending champ. He can't eat solid foods, so they have this mixture that they have to feed him. He's strong, he looks great, and he always runs good. I would not be surprised if this horse jumps up and runs another big one.
And we were speaking to the media team there. He eats an all-liquid diet there. A very interesting story, very interesting horse as well. He was paddock schooling here just a few days ago, and the Connections just do such a great job managing this horse, and I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back and really takes back-to-back renditions of the Mr. Prospector. We'll move on to the 5th race, though, maiden $50,000 event, 6 furlongs on the main track, and a 7-horse field with 2 scratches. The 6 Cash Moneys I find intriguing here for trainer Ralph Nix, and this is a horse that I'll throw in, mainly because they debuted this horse on the turf. He broke slowly, never really showed up. He had his head held high, didn't look like he liked the turf whatsoever. But the interesting thing is that they keep him at upper maiden level, so maiden 50,000, so they're not dropping this horse significantly after a poor performance, and they're trying him on a new surface. So, and obviously Ralph Nix is very good with his 2-year-olds.
And that's this is a great spot to pick a horse like this, because I find this race very hard to handicap and wide open. I did go with the 1 Extravagant Kid on top by ticket, who you have in second, and this one is stretching out to 3/4 of a mile on the main track. After a couple of well-meant outings against $50,000 maidens going 5 furlongs on the turf, in which he rallied to finish second. In both of those performances, Bill Kaplan is Juan Leyva handling the surface switch, a couple of scratches in here, and one of the scratches, 8 and 9 scratch, one of those was another entrant from Bill Kaplan, so he kept the one in that he thinks is right, and I thought was right. So I don't know if that's an interesting angle or not, but certainly something you have to pay attention to.
Absolutely. The 2 Perdido Playboy is an interesting one as well. And I could easily see this horse maybe going off at a decent price. 12 to 1 on the morning line with some of the scratches, I think, will probably be a bit lower than that. But you have to pay attention to this horse. He ran very well in debut, even though his Beyer speed figure was a little bit on the lower side, 38. At least he's shown a liking for the main track. He's a legitimate dirt runner. He showed speed, and he was beaten by a couple of horses. Foreman the Foreman, he's going to be running against Maiden Special Weight Company later on the card. And this horse has taken a drop in class, and he very well could go to the lead and maybe never look back.
Yeah, he was tracking pretty swift fractions last time out. The other horse I threw in was the 7 Grand Niche, dropping today, getting blinkers in the services of Javier Castellano. Even performance in his debut, maiden special weight, they keep him around. Gustavo Delgado, 17% with this kind of layoff because the horse hasn't run since August, so a little bit of a guess with him. Javier jumps aboard, so that always makes it interesting.
Absolutely, and that's races 1 through 5. Definitely dive in the early pick 5. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6 that was hit yesterday for a pretty penny. Let's hope we can hit it again this afternoon. Up next. Welcome back to Gulfstream today, and looking at the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6 that does start in today's 6th race on the card. You're getting ready. You're getting ready. I'm getting ready. I do have a single today, actually. We'll take a look at the sequence this afternoon. Again, it does start in race 6 on this 11-race program, and singling in the last. So hopefully we can get that far. $57.60. I really do like the 5 in the last race today. We'll get to that in a little bit here, but to kick us off, we're going 4 horses deep in the first leg, 3 using the 1, 4, 7, then the 7, 8, 11 in race 8, 8, 10, 11, 12, 4, 11 in race 10, and then in race 11 in the Tropical Park Oaks. I really like the 5 Celestine there for trainer Bill Mott. So we'll get to her in a little bit, but race 6 does start us off, maiden special weight. At a mile and an eighth onto the turf course. And the 12 Energy Policy is a horse that I'm interested in for trainer Chad Brown. And immediately, we'll go back and take a look at this horse's most recent replay again. This was on the 8th of November there at Aqueduct, going the mile and a 16th. And he actually came into a little bit of early trouble, immediately exiting the gate. He's encouraged a couple times with the right-handed whip, but breaking from that inside post position. He loses a little bit of ground here, and I don't know if he shies away from a horse to the outside or if he has to check and then maybe overcompensated for that. But right here, he has to check extremely badly going into the first turn, and almost hits the rail, almost goes over the rail. He takes a couple of hops, and then from then on he just completely falters, and you never really know what goes south after there when you have to aggressively pull a horse back like that, because his debut performance was actually quite good.
And now he's going to the outside. He's going to break from the outside. So he doesn't have to deal with what happened on the inside of a big field here today. So, I mean, a logical horse you got to have on your ticket. I know you had it on top. I want to talk about the number 11. I'm glad you used this horse on your ticket, and I'll tell you why. That's Little Scotty. He's a half-brother to $3.5 million earner, Little Mike. And Little Mike, one of the most popular horses here in South Florida, all over the country. What a great turf horse he was. He was trained by Carlo Baccarezza, who trains Little Scotty today. And here's why I like this horse. Stretching out to a mile and 8, went up and set the pace against a stalker closer bias to finish second. It was against the next out stakes winner called, a pulpit stakes winner called Swagger Jagger, who had been keying off that race a little bit. That was going a mile and a 16th, Gulfstream Park West. Jeffrey Sanchez in the saddle. I'm thinking this horse has got a winning performance in its cards.
All right, that's an interesting one. I couldn't leave him off the pick six as well. That's why I used several different horses. One of them was the 2 Silver Romeo here, and I think he could be a very forwardly placed. This is interesting. They go sprint, route on the turf, and they take the blinkers off, and he was coming out of some pretty decent company. Destin, we saw run yesterday. That's when he did debut, and he showed speed at 7 furlongs. You look at the breeding, too. He's by Macho Uno out of a Touch Gold mare. The majority of the foals have actually liked the turf. He's kin to a colt that won a maiden special weight at Saratoga in debut. So a couple of those foals have been precocious. I'm going to throw him in there as well.
Well, number 5, Regal Kitten, is from the Joe Sharp barn. And boy, has he been heating up over the last couple of days. This one, as I mentioned, debuting locally after rallying 5 wide to finish third behind a next out winner called Hunter O'Reilly. That was in a 9 furlong maiden special weight event. It was on the Keeneland turf. So right there, the source has had some, progress at 9 furlongs. So I like that today. Corey Lannery named to ride on this Ken and Sarah Ramsey, homebred son of Kitten's Joy, Joe Sharp. 3 wins over the last 2 days.
I know, doing very, very well, especially with new acquisitions, even older horses, really anything, have been running very well. Race 7, an allowance optional claiming event, 6 furlongs on the main track. Scratch the 10, Loud Cat. Unfortunately, I believe that was both of our top picks.
It was.
So we have to go back to the drawing board, and the 4 Prudhoe Bay is an interesting one, in my opinion. This horse is coming out of the Eddie Pleasa barn, 3rd start off the layoff, and I like the fact that I can see consistent progression in his form. When he debuted off of the layoff, he was going against XY Jet that you were actually talking about earlier. Weekend Holiday, so Stakes Company off the layoff. They finally dropped him down to a lower level. A little bit of an improvement now, I think, getting even more of a class relief today.
Well, let's look at my late pick 5 ticket, and I'm sorry I did not use that one on my ticket after that great analysis you just did. I did use 1, 6, and 7, but I wish I could use 4 and other horses too, because I find this first leg of the late pick 5 pretty wide open. I did settle on the 1, 6, and 7, the 1 being El Botas, and as you mentioned, we lost our top pick in here, and then you see the progression as it goes down, and in the last race, 3 and 6 today, where you singled the 5, so we weren't really in agreement that much in the last race. So we'll see who wins the egg roll today.
The battle. the battle of the egg roll bet. Yeah, the 1 El Botas, I really like this horse as well. I think he might be a sleeper in here. It's 4 for 6 win on the main track. I went back and kind of looked at those races that he was running against, and some of them were at Monmouth, Gulfstream Park West, Penn National, but he was going against Allowance Company. Turf to dirt, he very well could show up.
And you know what? He was didn't run well in the Claimant Crown Canterbury that was moved from the turf to a sloppy main track. And if you look at its previous record on and off track, 0 for 3. So he's not going to get an off track today. It's a beautiful day. He's going to get a fast surface, and I think he could rebound. We both used the 7 Golden Canyon, an unknown in this race for sure. He makes his first start since September 2014, returns as a gelding, and gets first-time Lasix for Todd Pletcher, Javier Castellano. The morning work tab at Palm Beach Downs is consistent, but it's not earth-shattering.
Yeah, nothing outstanding there, but it tracks the likes of Javier Castellano. And again, I like this horse. I think there's a lot of unknowns. Hopefully we get a chance to catch up with Todd Pletcher this afternoon. But this is one that do not leave him out of your pick 6 ticket.
No, he could win by 20.
Exactly. All right, we'll move on to race 8 and maiden special weight on the main track at 6.5 furlongs here. And another very interesting maiden special weight. I thought there were plenty of ways to go. Ultimately, I land on the 2 horses who are sired by Uncle Mo.
Me too. I'm just our 2 are just a little bit reversed. I did go with the number 8, Unk, on top of my ticket. I like the name of that horse. It's easy to type when we're doing the tip sheet.
That's I call my uncle that all the time too,
go.
Unk. So maybe that's a hunch bet here as well. But the 8 Unk is very intriguing. You see Uncle Mo. He wins with about 24, 25% of his 2-year-old first-time starters. You see on the bottom side as well, the mare was a grade 2 place on dirt sprints and made about $280,000 in form. So again, you get quickness on the bottom side, you get precocity on the top side, obviously, by Uncle Mo, and I like that angle.
Yeah, and he's working well up at Palm Meadows at our satellite training center, including a couple of bullet workouts. And I want to show you a stat from Brendan Walsh. It's a limited sampling, but these limited samplings have been doing great. He's 3 for 8. That's 38% with 2-year-old first-time starters. So that's a pretty good stat this year for our trainer, Brendan Walsh.
That's very excellent. And the 11 Mo Power is an interesting one. Can't leave this one off your ticket as well. Another one who's sired by Uncle Mo, costs $325,000 at the sale and gets first-time Lasix. On the bottom side, the mare was a grade 1 placed on the dirt, going about a mile and a 16th or so. So again, even though Uncle Mo is his progeny has been very good early, perhaps this is one that might want some more at a distance. But the 6.5 furlongs, I think, might be in his wheelhouse and debut.
We'd be remiss in our duty if we were to mention that it seems Todd Pletcher wins every 2-year-old race. So you got to keep that in mind when you're putting your exacted ticket together here.
One other horse that I used in some multi-race sequences, and we didn't show the replay because he finished 5th and you can't really see anything from it, but the 6 Super True I found really interesting. In the late stages of his debut performance, he was making a really, really nice late run with really no encouragement as well. So that might be one to throw on your tickets there at a pretty decent price. But overall, I thought a wide open event.
Yeah, pretty wide open event. I mean, you got the 2 Uncle Mo's, but this is a race that can fool you. You got to go a little deeper. Go back and look at that horse, Super True. That is the number 6. If you're able to get to a computer or right here at our race replay machines and see what you think.
All right, we'll go on to the 9th race, the Tropical Park Derby at a mile and a 16th out on the turf course here for 3-year-olds. And another very interesting race. I kind of persuaded to the 11A lot in here, but we do have 2 horses who are coming out of pretty much the same race last time out, the English Channel at Belmont. So we'll go back and take a look at that replay here. Most recently, Team Colors was the number 6 in here, and we see A lot was number 9. And we can see them kind of closing from off the pace here. I kind of preferred A lot coming back to Gulfstream here today, but there's one thing about it: the 12 Team Colors has been ultra impressive here. And again, these are horses who are closing from off the pace. You do see a couple of horses who are hindered to the inside, and the second place finisher, the 12 Team Colors, comes from off the pace, but I thought kind of got an unhindered trip in that event. So again, how will this horse kind of transfer his form from New York to Gulfstream?
I used them both on my ticket. Talking about a lot who you do have on top of your ticket. He was beaten a half length at this distance in the Grade 2 Hall of Fame up at Saratoga. So it looks like he's going to like the mile in the 16th. With that said, I did go with the number 8 on top of my ticket. I'll tell you why. That is Tweet Kitten, making its local turf debut at a mile in the 16th after flaunting his stamina when he followed his 10-furlong maiden victory versus older horses with a perfectly timed score. That was in the 9-furlong Bryan Station at Keeneland. It's Chad Brown, Javier Castellano. It's the son of Kitten's Joy, and if you're not aware, these Tropical Park Derby and the Tropical Park Oaks are both against 3-year-olds, all 3-year-olds.
And the 10 Conquest Typhoon is an interesting one. He faced Grade 2 Company and the American Turf last time out at Churchill, but that was back in May. He went against Divisadero, A Lot in that event as well, where you see A Lot has had a lot of races since then, no pun intended. But Conquest Typhoon, he was a very, very good horse, a very good 3-year-old, even 2-year-old there contesting against Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf back at Santa Anita in the 2014 as a 2-year-old. So this is another horse who they've probably given some time off, turned him out, brought him back to the races, and can he do it off such a layoff?
Yeah, well, this is on paper it looks like it's 2 or 3 horses, but I actually got my long shot of the day that I put in the program every day, and that's the 3 Big Family, 20-1 in the morning line, ridden by Corey Lanny. We'll tell you about that horse later, but there's a horse you might want to put on your ticket.
All right, race 10, allowance optional claiming event, going 1 turn mile on the main track. And we have some interesting horses. The 3 Tennessee, who's actually been on the turf in the past couple of starts, now tries to transition his form to the main track for Todd Pletcher. And this is, again, a 3-year-old who has been running on the turf in the past 2 starts, and now they go back to the dirt. I think he's a must-use, but perhaps one to definitely use on the ticket. But I will try to beat him with the 4 Let a Call. You like the 3, though.
Yeah, Tennessee's solid on the main track at Saratoga. So I looked at those races. He's going back, as you mentioned, to the main track. He followed an allowance victory on the Keeneland turf. He comes back, he runs 5th. $75,000 showing up at Gulfstream Park West. So there is a concern there. Todd Pletcher, you know all his great stats. He's actually 16 for 59, 27% with the turf to dirt angle. So there's reason to believe this horse is going to run well. Would I single it? No.
And looking at the 4 Leto call, I'm going to use him in the mix primarily because I kind of liked him last time out in the Rapid Transit. But unfortunately, it was on a good sealed track. And you look at this horse's previous performances, he's 0 for 5 on an off track. So I don't think he was taking a liking to that surface whatsoever. But races outside of that, so if you go back, he was on a sloppy sealed track against Stakes Company here at Gulfstream and an okay performance. He came back to run a 91 Beyer speed figure and beaten a length behind Valid, Falling Sky, Grand Shores. I think horses who are in a different caliber.
I want to show you a stat on the number 5, Abounding Legacy. 6 for 7 in the money on the main track. He's had 7 races, but look at this, a good stat here. Ralph Nix is 4 for 16, 25%, with horses switching from the Gulfstream Park West track to Gulfstream Park. So just something you throw in here. I think this horse can run well in that race.
Okay, plenty of options to go with. Even the 11 City of Weston is one for Peter Walder. It just looks like more of a one-run sprinter, so I do like the fact that he's at least cutting back to the one-turn mile today. We'll go on to the 11th and final race on the card, the Tropical Park Oaks at 1 mile and a 16th, out on the turf course for 3-year-old fillies. And the 5 Celestine is going to be my top selection for trainer Bill Mott. Was a subpar performance last time out, but I have mentioned this before. Kind of in the early to mid-November range, I went back and watched a lot of races, especially the Grade 2 Miss Revere, because I like one particular horse I've been following. Her name's Onus. And you could just see some fillies just really not like the surface that day, and others just completely thrived on it. So I'm completely crossing out that race, especially because it was coming off a layoff. So you have something fitness to deal with on a really soft turf. I'm, again, putting a line through it, and hopefully she can go back to her back form.
Yeah, I used the 6 promotional on top, making her Korea Stakes debut. She's been running well. Tommy Proctor, as the daughter of Artie Schiller, working strongly at the Fairhill Training Center. Brian Pedroza named to ride. I think this is the upset special. I went with a little bit of a long shot. I don't even know what it is on the morning line. I think 12 to 1, so I'm trying to get cute in the last.
Okay, the 7 Lighten Paris is another one. Blinkers do go on, and she hesitated at the start last time out. Interesting enough, Chad Brown does put the blinkers on her today. I would imagine after that performance, they probably took her back to the gate, did some gate work as well. One to use, and the 3-0 Sela. This is a 3-year-old filly who, was definitely a contender in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. Back in 2014, she was bet down to 5 to 1 against Lady Eli. Obviously, we know what a talented filly Lady Eli is. And interesting enough, this I can remember watching Royal Ascot this past year, actually. And this horse gave Frankie Dettori his 50th win at Royal Ascot.
Wow, see that? I didn't know that. That's good to know.
So we'll see. We'll see about this filly, new acquisition for trainer Todd Pletcher.
Yeah, I got it on the ticket for all those reasons you mentioned.
Okay, really competitive racing today, and
Fun.
I think the late pick 5 is very tough. I think the pick 6 is really tough. I can't believe I'm singling in the last race of the sequence, but sometimes you just got to single.
Sometimes you got to do it. You took a page out of my book. I've been singling in the last race all week, and it hasn't worked out too well for me, but I hope it does for you.
Hopefully we can get that far, and then, it'll be fun. Okay, well, thank you for joining us here on Gulfstream today. We're going to take a quick break, and Larry Colmus will be back shortly with scratches and changes. Best of luck on this 11 race program.